Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill, a sneaky, fascinating football game Saturday afternoon. Arkansas heading on the road to play Auburn. You look at this Arkansas team, like there's a very real reality that they're 3-0 and are a top 25 ranked team heading into this matchup. Obviously, should have beat Oklahoma State, beat them in every single statistical category you can beat a team, lost that football game. Then you look at Auburn, obviously a disappointing loss week 2 against Cal, going to Hank Brown. We obviously liked what we saw from Hank Brown on Saturday night. I feel like this is a massive game for both of these programs in the 2024 season. Like your season can kind of go one direction or the other direction in terms of the outcome of this football game. Fired up to get into it now. Before we do, and as always, and most importantly, like these game predictions, let it fly in the comment section. Whether you agree with the boys, whether you disagree, that's again the beauty of doing these. So appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And Dill, without further ado, I want to start with this Arkansas offense going up against an Auburn defense that has been frustrating at times. You look at that game against New Mexico last night, really struggled to deal with the legs of Devin Dampier. I feel like Auburn is creating a lot of chaos for opposing offenses and not necessarily putting it together all quite yet. And then you look at Arkansas. Like, this is an Arkansas offense that is night and day different from what we saw in 2023. Taylor Green, although has made some mistakes, has also played some really good football at times. My biggest storyline for this football game: how well does Auburn keep Taylor Green in the pocket and prevent him from using his legs, extending plays? Because you look at the two teams that Auburn kind of struggled with on defense, Devin Dampier at New Mexico, obviously Mendoza against Cal, they kind of got beat by letting quarterbacks get outside the pocket and extend plays. What is Auburn going to do to try to keep Taylor Green in the pocket and kind of force him to play as a pocket passer where he's clearly not as comfortable playing like?
And that's something I was almost thinking. Like, obviously, Arkansas is going to want to get him outside the pocket, whether that's through play action with the rollouts or whether that's straight sprint outs. I mean, he's been pretty effective there. Obviously, gives him a chance to use his legs and put defense in conflict. But I think you're right. That's something Arkansas or Auburn, I should say, has really struggled with, is just dealing with that quarterback in the pocket as well, in their ability to get him down or get quarterbacks down to the ground, because like they're getting pressure. You kind of said it. They're getting havoc around quarterbacks and they're just not finishing the job, and they're not maintaining rush lanes all the time. So it's giving quarterbacks a lot of ability to step up and then go make plays with their legs. So that's something I think just general team discipline from that front seven. Are they going to play with that against Taylor Green? Because obviously he can hurt you bad when he gets
That's what DJ Durkin needs to kind of figure out. And this is a game where you're game planning for. Like, I don't think that was a massive part of the game plan going up against Cal. Like, I think Mendoza is much more crafty than he is just a difference maker, playmaker outside the pocket. We know Taylor Green's a difference maker. This kid is a very good athlete. He wants to get outside the pocket. He wants to use his athleticism. And quite frankly, Bobby Petrino does a great job calling the game that Taylor Green can be that kind of athlete. This is probably priority number one on the chalkboard, right? When you're talking about keys to this football game, when DJ Durkin's holding those player meetings, it is, how do we deal with Taylor Green? Are you going to spy him with the backer? Are you just going to be really disciplined with your rush lanes in your front four? Dill, you said Keldrick Falk has been an absolute freak show, and it's not necessarily reflected in the box score, although it kind of is as well. But you turn on the film, this kid's been he's been a difference maker.
Well, they need their guys on the inside to get off blocks. That's what I found extremely frustrating for this Auburn team, is like, hey, you got your guys on the edge winning. I mean, Keldrick Falk's winning a lot. Obviously, McLeod's got a lot of juice. I don't think he's quite hit his stride necessarily in this season yet, but he's a guy who can be really, really disruptive. And then I think, like, kind of what we've been talking about, like, I think the inside of that defensive line is still coming along. They don't have necessarily their peak SEC talent yet. They're coming. They're recruiting that position really effectively. But right now, it's like they don't get off the blocks. They don't make plays. They don't tackle athletic quarterbacks. And that's becoming a very real problem. I think you look at some of like really good defense, like what Michigan was so good with, is their defensive tackles got off blocks. They were athletic. They made plays. And right now, Auburn's just not doing that. So as much chaos as their edge rushers are causing, their guys on the inside just aren't kind of holding up there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a balance that DJ Durkin and Charles Kelly are gonna have to figure out. Like, hey, we don't want to put the leash on guys like Keldrick Falk, You want them pinning the
You
ears back.
can't get your Leafs, especially not against Arkansas, because when you can get Heat Taylen Green up, that's when havoc has occurred, and he's made some really bad mistakes, and Auburn's certainly going to want to make
But
them.
at the end of the day, you also want to make sure you're keeping him in the pocket, not letting him beat you with his legs. So it's something that DJ is again, I think it's priority number one for this Auburn defense. You look at the rest of Arkansas, Dale, they're running the football very effectively, six yards per carry. That's top 20 in the country. In the passing attack, it's kind of an interesting passing attack where, hey, we're going to run the football and then we're going to push the ball down the field. Like Taylen Green, statistically, you look at the box score and say 55% completion percentage. That ain't that great. Those average depth of targets almost 13 yards. Like they are asking him to push the ball down the field. And I think on aggregate, like 90% of the reps that we've seen Taylen Green have been pretty damn good. If you're Arkansas and Bobby Petrino, how can we make that 99 and how can we make that other 10% not catastrophic mistakes that lose you football games? That's kind of the key on that side of the football. Going to Auburn on offense, new quarterback, I would think Hank Brown starts this one. I want to lean on the running game. And we talked about this last night. One of the benefits from going from Peyton Thorne to the redshirt freshman Hank Brown, it forced Hugh Freeze to be a little bit more simplistic and simplify the offense. And I think one of those things was, hey, we have an all SEC caliber running back in the backfield. We have an offensive line that, although has struggled in pass protection, can really run block in a big time way. Like they can move bodies off the line of scrimmage, lean on Jarquez Hunter, have your offense go through Jarquez Hunter, and then when it's time to push the ball down the field, we know Hank Brown can make those throws. But if I'm Auburn, like I'm leaning on my playmakers. One of my playmakers is Jarquez Hunter with an offensive line that I think can really get it done in the run blocking department.
Now that'll be a good battle though, because Arkansas is tough against the run, and they're not rushing the passer particularly effectively, which may be a little bit of an. I mean, that's been something teams that have fared well against Auburn have done a good job of getting home to Peyton Thorne, causing a lot of mistakes. Obviously, led by that Cal game. Arkansas's not doing that, but their defensive line, credit to them. Them and their linebackers are playing good against the run. They largely shut Ollie Gordon out of that football game. So I think. Yeah, you want to be able to run the ball. In Auburn, I think, again, when you watch that Cal game especially, it felt like they went away from it a little bit. They got a little bit one-dimensional, and that really should never be the case because Jarquez Hunter, he's still probably the best offensive player on their team right now, I would say. They still need to run him, but I think Hank Brown's got to make some plays. I mean, he's going to see a steady dose of man coverage from this Arkansas team, and he's going to need to get the ball into some windows. That's, at the end of the day, I don't think – given how tough Arkansas has been against the run, he's going to need to make some things happen.
And I think you have wide receivers that can beat man coverage. You know, you look at Keandre Lambert-Smith or a guy like Rivaldo Fairweather, if Cam Coleman can make it back, like you have the guys. Last year when Auburn saw man coverage, they just didn't have dudes to be able to separate. You have your guys now. I think Hank Brown's going to have a game that's kind of catered around him. Like we are going to run the football, create you some easy throws. And I think Hank Brown can make the throws. I think the big question mark is the pass protection. Like, I don't think we knew New Mexico wasn't going to push Auburn in terms of pass protection in that football game. Though a sneaky storyline in that game, they shuffled the deck big time on the offensive line. So Percy Lewis got the start at left. Dylan Wade starting at right tackle. It looked good against New Mexico. Look, Arkansas hasn't rushed the passer all that great throughout the first 3 games. This was one of the best pass rushing units.
You got guys to do it still,
and it was really good in 2023. And so this will be a good test for not only this Arkansas pass rush, but also this Auburn, this newly formed offensive line. Hey, can we do a better job protecting the passer? That's a big storyline in this game as well. Dale, getting to the pick here, Auburn 5.5-point favorites at home. What we got?
Give me the Razorbacks. I think the Razorbacks are a much better team than what their record.
They're so good.
These scores.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they're making some catastrophic mistakes, and obviously, ditto to Auburn. They're doing the same thing, kind of, especially in that Cal game. But I think the offensive line's playing well. I think they're running the ball well. Bobby Petrino, I mean, for whatever lacks or flaws he has as a coach, he can call a game. I mean, his offense, he does a really good job. He's creating a lot of easy plays for Taylen Green, and I think they're pretty balanced out there at the wide receiver spot. I think they got 3 guys with Satania kind of emerging a little bit, if you will, making things happen. Obviously, you can throw in at the tight end position with Luke Haas. They're really good, so I think they got a lot of weapons. I think they're really been pretty balanced for the most part on offense. They're just making horrible plays. Now, Auburn's kind of doing the same thing. So, again, I don't know that we've seen –
Not with Hank Brown, though. Now with Hank Brown, they're not making horrible plays.
I don't know that we've seen the best version of Auburn yet. I think Arkansas is playing pretty good football. So I think this game should just be closer. I think it should be closer to a pick 'em, maybe a little bit favorites for Auburn. But 5.5 is a lot of points, I think, to give up.
For an Arkansas team that, again, like, what's the conversation around this football game if Arkansas doesn't piss down their leg and lose to Oklahoma State? Like, this is a really good team. I think they're massively improved in offense. Now, I'm going to go with the Auburn Tigers. I think Hank Brown has put some more life into this program. I also love it being in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I look at Taylor Green and what we saw from him on the road in Stillwater. It was a great first half, had all the momentum, and then this team just it fell apart when the first kind of sign of adversity hit.
Yeah.
Look, it's going to be rocking in Jordan-Hare. Like, there's new life around this Auburn team with Hank Brown at quarterback. Give me Auburn, give me the crowd, and give me this Auburn team getting it done at home. This is going to be a really fun game. Like, I think this is going to get kind of shadowed from some other games. Like, fire the boys up for Arkansas.
It's two
Auburn.
teams that at their best, they've looked really good. And then at their worst, they've looked like they don't belong playing like big time college football.
And that's the story. Like, what team can go out and make the plays to win, but at the same time, what team can go out there and not make the plays?
Both can make their plays. That's the thing. They're both making winning plays, but they're both not making a lot of losing plays too.
It's going to be the key to this game. I'm really excited, fired up. We'll cut it there again. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.